Should we introduce ourselves? Do people know who I am? I think
so. I'm gonna let you in on a secret. They don't know.
Nobody knows who I am. I worked hard to keep my face off the website.
It was impressive. Impressive.
But
he does that on purpose.
I'm Jacob Nickel. I'm in charge of the Engagement Studio product, the AlertMiner Core product, and just recently working really closely with the data science team to start injecting some of that
the juice.
Yeah, that juice into the product, and really working really closely with Angela on that too, because AlertMiner Pro and CXM are prime targets for that kind of stuff.
And I'm Angela MacMaking. I'm director of product for CXM, AlertMiner Pro, our desking, and our mobile app.
We wear a lot of hats.
Yeah.
It's just like listing things off.
So they are our product team. I'm going to start off by saying, hey, have you heard about our CRM?
Right. Yeah. Let's not keep that a secret. And one of the things I definitely want to get to. So obviously in the CRM, what are you doing? You're working with customers. So anything customer centric and how we can make a better customer experience is the goal. And what's particularly exciting about what we've seen the past couple of years is the advancements in AI that really cater to that message of getting that customer experience very personalized. And so we already have very good, well-established AI in our system today. Mm-hmm. And we're really excited to carry that deeper and take it and adopt some of the newer types of AI, like the LLMs and the NLPs, which I'm sure we'll talk about. Yeah, and really enrich that customer experience so that we can help when you're in your CRM. You're not just looking at tasks or sort of flat data. You can actually talk specifically to that customer, and I mean very specific, like about their puppies and their children, and have that auto-injected into the scripts and templates that we're sending out. Things that will actually make that customer feel like, oh, you remembered me. And we've already seen, there are statistics that show that level of personalization increases the customer's likelihood to respond. Take videos as an example. The sending a video, that's okay. What increases the open rate and likelihood by 40% is making sure you are in that video. They want to see you. They know you. They just met you, and then you sent them a video. That's much more meaningful than just a walk around without yourself in it. And so that's what we're seeing customers wanting more. They're wanting that personalization. And I think AI is going to be able to help us deliver it in a less time consuming way for our user.
Yeah, that was one of the biggest. So we're coming off of a 3-day collaboration bender. So the energy is not super high. That's why. But we've talked a lot about how AI can help with what we're doing, and how probably the biggest thing that everybody connected on was efficiency and product usage. So like, if you can get the customer, so dealership users utilizing the product, they will be successful. We have the data to back it up. Yes. We see it all the time. So that was one of the biggest things we took away from this recent collaboration. And to get to your question on what is CXM, how's this working, the overarching question, I think if you look back at the data science that we've been pushing into our product, so like we've had AI inside of our product since 2016 and even earlier. And since then, that went into AlertMiner. AlertMiner feeds into AlertMiner Pro. AlertMiner Pro feeds into CXM. All of that intelligence is still there, right? We're not rebuilding it. The bedrock technology is in place. So we have this foundational AI that we're using to power everything. And like Angela said, the next step is we need higher user engagement and an easier workflow for customers to utilize those tools. AI is going to help us in a big way with that. Or at least that's the objectives that we're aiming for here in the next year.
Yeah, and it is a balance. You hear dealers and rightfully so say things like, I'm a little scared about what I'm seeing with AI. I'm a little scared about what's it saying to my customers. I don't, what's it doing? Like, I don't trust it. It's kind of the sentiment there. And so it is about how do we, and those are valid, and you should be having those thoughts, because there's plenty of examples of AI not doing what you want it to do.
Totally.
And lots of and on a bigger awareness, especially since ChatGPT kind of blew up and there's been just a lot more education out there. The consumers are starting to recognize it, and it kind of annoys them, right? Even think about your Facebook feed and the AI generated photos. And at first it was like, oh, that's cool. And now it's like, wait, is this real? What am I looking at? How do I know it's not it starts to become
And all the posts.
depersonalized. Yeah.
Unlock, unleash, revolutionize.
Right. It does all start to sound the same, right?
Sorry if I called anybody out, but we know what that is.
Yeah, when you see those keywords, okay, this is generated by ChatGPT. And you're right, that was kind of the new product on the market that sparked everybody's curiosity about AI. Something I want to talk about learning, being afraid of it. AI is any technology that kind of replicates what human intuition can do, right? So
let's get into it.
I'm not going to do too deep of a dive, but people will say AI and ChatGPT, and they think that it's the same thing because that's what we've been living in the last year. Mm-hmm. Super cool technology, you're not wrong, but there's a lot of other things. NLP, machine learning, natural language processing is what NLP stands for, and this is important for dealers to know, but it's also important for anybody in the technology space. If you're working for, an automotive technology company, it's important for you to know those things. And if you're working with a software vendor that's not utilizing these tools and you haven't heard machine learning's being used or, recommendation engines are being used, that may not be the right vendor for you.
Right. And ask specifics, ask what type of AI, be sure AI is just an umbrella term, right? And it is covering lots of different systems. And before, 5 years ago, saying AI was enough, right? And people didn't even really believe it, even though it's been actually around for decades. And now you should be asking your vendor specific questions about what type of AI technologies are you using, and they should be able to give you the details. It's that high level. We have an NLP, we have a recommendation engine. That's not proprietary. Those are just the names.
These are systems. These are methods.
Yes, exactly.
To practice AI, right?
I would challenge anybody who's curious about it, or if you haven't heard that and you're with AutoAlert, or if you're at AutoAlert and you haven't heard that, we have some really good blogs on the website. Our director of data science, Cody Bennett, he did this, I think, 3-part blog where he goes through a day in the life of a data scientist kind of thing. And he describes everything that we're doing to power our systems and that whole journey from 2016 to present, where all of these things are implemented into our platform. It's really cool when you abstract it all out. You hear NLP, what is that? Our recommendation engine, what is that? And then you can say, take a look inside the platform, the iBlock. We heard that's the bread and butter. That's powerful mojo.
Gravy.
Yeah, that's the gravy, right? Sorry. That's what it is. That kind of stuff is the result of utilizing AI inside of our platform. And so sometimes you take that intangible and make it tangible. You can really do that with the AutoAlert software platform because you just say, open it up and look at anything that's giving you information that's helping you close a deal or work faster or work more efficiently. It's probably powered by some level of data science, some level of AI.
Yeah. And I think there's two things. I want to get to kind of this secondarily. How important is it for that foundationary AI that's been there for a while? How important is that age or maturity? That's the second part. The other part is, I forgot it. So let's talk about what I just said.
If it's embedded. So we started this right, when it was available, when that stuff started coming of age, we started right away. So it is embedded inside of our platform. It's part of everything we do. So AI, data science, powers tons of decisions and features that are inside of our platform. So if you're talking to a software vendor that's now we're starting to dabble in AI, or they just inject ChatGPT into their platform and say, this is our AI implementation, you need to look and say, okay, well, your company started 10 years ago and you're just now starting to use these tools that have been around because it's exciting.
How informed are you?
Yeah.
What are you sure you know what it's going to do?
I mean, the theme with all these AI systems is that they are self-learning, which means they need data to learn from. And so longevity is very important because our models have been trained on years and years and thousands of data points. And it takes them, even if you were to take a fresh model and inject that much data, it just takes time. It takes time for that data model to evolve and even for the data science to tweak and make adjustments that they need to make sure that the model is right for your application.
Yeah.
And that's
Enforcement learning.
right. And then with ChatGPT, if sharing that your data to a third party that is then using it to train a model that it's also sharing with other companies, that's also something to just think about and make sure you're aware, because you are sharing sensitive data and it is remembering it. That's how it learns. That's how it gets better. And so it's something that we've done as kept our technology very proprietary, kept it all in-house so that your data is secure, not only from a security standpoint, but also to curate our models to be very specific to the use case of an auto alert dealer.
Tailor-made for the automotive space, which is really cool.
Yeah.
And I feel like whenever I always feel like I'm putting ChatGPT down. No, I'm not doing that. There's cool technology that we're using that's specific to the sector that we're in that is going to be more helpful because it's what it's been trained on. Excuse me. But ChatGPT is still a tool, and we've talked about this. If you're a employee at a dealership or you're, an employee anywhere or you're a human being on the world right now, you should be checking out these AI tools and incorporating them into your work and life. So don't just, I'm not trying to spook you away from ChatGPT, but I think we should learn that there's tools inside of platforms that have purpose built to attack a certain sector.
Intent is very important.
Yeah.
Intent is very important. And when you have an industry or a very specific industry like automotive, there's a bunch of things that go with that.
Sure.
I.e. all the data that we have, which is majority customer data, right? These are people attached to all these numbers and data points.
Yeah.
So it is important for us to have that level of intent behind it. So to your point, yes, we're not putting down ChatGPT. I subscribe.
You said me too.
Yeah, thank you. And I love it. And it is, I think it's one of the greatest personal assistant enhancements that is, it's out there for the public. It's within reach. There's not a huge paywall behind it. And then there is a free version of it.
Sure.
So there's a version of that is fantastic for our society. And there's a way to leverage it because of how much data we operate with.
Yeah.
And I think that's important. That's the reason AI is useful. It gives us a way to manage massive amounts of data and make sense of it, but not only make sense of it, have it inform itself. Okay.
Yeah.
Based on this new data, how does it correspond to the old data? And does that impact new decisions later? Or do we need to take a different route? And it's doing it like this.
Yeah.
Right. We used to be AI.
Yeah. That's
some big brains. I'm not saying our brains are going to get smaller because we're using AI. I think it allows us to be.
It's something to ponder.
It's a theory. Yeah. Or does it expand our creativity because we have the capacity to workshop multiple ideas? Because I have learned in my later years that I'm probably 100% diagnosed with adult ADHD, which means I got all my tabs open all the time. But what if I can put those tabs somewhere and put them to use and then collectively bring those together? Hey, what's the synopsis of this? Hey guys, this is how I talk to myself. And so my inner monologue, crazy. We talk about a lot of stuff, but think of that with your personal second brain. That's what I like to think of. This AI capability gives you that level of information.
I love talking to people and just hearing how anybody you meet, right? Like, and just hearing how they've started using AI, generative AI specifically, in their daily lives, and just the ideas of things people are doing with it. Like, there are things I never even thought of, and then somebody sells me it, and I'm like, oh, that's incredible, that's great. Somebody was saying that they they use it to, and this could apply to car dealerships too. They use it to create a dialogue with a customer, and they cut to practice, and they kind of pre-prompt so that they know, the AI knows what the dialogue's supposed to be and the role that their customer is supposed to play. And he's able to sort of bounce back and forth, script preparation, as a script working, to just really make sure he's prepared for a real customer call. And that's something you can also do and apply in your data mining tools. And if you're not getting the results that you want from either your email templates or any scripts you might be using, maybe have a practice dialogue with an AI tool. And that way, you can get better results from your data mining.
That reminds me of what we were supposed to be talking about, I think, originally, was that AI as a tool is super helpful. And the goal, at least here at AutoAlert, is not to replace employees with AI or to take away, key responsibilities like customer outreach and relationship building and hand that off to AI. We have some purpose-built tools for that. Our AI assistants are really good at ushering that early relationship and then handing it off to an actual human who can carry out the rest of the deal. But yeah, AI as a supplemental tool for your employees, at least, is my goal for how we utilize it inside of our platform. We have some really, I don't know what we can talk about or not, but we have some really cool things.
Exclusive.
Yeah. Yeah. It's, we have something special coming out, and we're calling it AutoLink. It's a 32 nanometer chip that's installed at the base of the skull. No, I'm just kidding.
I was like, wait,
go on.
whose roadmap is this on? Because
It's a
He said nano.
yeah.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
No, sorry.
So some things I think we can talk to and allude to is using, so just like he said, we're not trying to replace. It's not the enemy. It's a tool, and it will make you better.
Sure.
The creativity aspect. I mean, just sometimes you look at a blank email body, and I'm just like, and you spend 5 minutes just thinking what first word to even start.
What I'm thinking, don't say it like that. Don't say it like that.
Yeah.
That's not gonna. Nope, that tone is.
And so having that generative AI use case where you can have some examples to look at to inspire what you would naturally write, it just makes you more productive. And then, we don't want to replace human communication, because we know your customers don't want that. Your customers want to hear from a person, and they're going to desire that more and more the bigger AI gets. And they're going to, again, they're going to get even better at recognizing it. But it can certainly fill in communication gaps.
Yes.
You don't have enough people at your dealership to call every single person in your database or email them and text them every single day. But with AI, you can complement your real live human interactions with ongoing touch points. And so that's a way it complements.
Yeah. So people get a kick out of saying oh, this message is fooling the customer into thinking it's a real person. And I think that defeats the purpose of the AI, right? You can use it, I think, as a prompter is great. You have it create an email and you kind of tinker it up, but you still need, as an employee of a dealership, to execute those tasks and do the work, because if you think this AI is just going to take care of everything for you, you're going to lose the relationship with the customer. And I mean, our core competency was built off of data mining with your existing database, right? Yeah. So if you're not having that relationship with your customer, then, what do you have? You might as well just leave the dealership and have the AI take care of it for you.
Yeah. And we're not fooling anybody. First off, AI is a different language, but they're not speaking a different language. It's based off of human interactions, and it only knows this because humans have interacted. Humans have created these formulas and these systems and these types of conversations that the AI has learned. So that enhancement increases productivity, right? It's not a game. We're not hiding the 8-ball. It's how can I be more productive with the most valuable levels of conversation? Because per capita, I'm still a proponent of saying that communication is the biggest flaw or opportunity in any industry.
Sure.
And any relationship. It doesn't matter what level it is, whether it's a professional one, a one person to customer, or
You can say verse 1.
1-to-1. I was trying to dang it. No matter what you do, communication is the barrier. And it can set things off to a great start, or it can falter because of lack of or inadequate communication. And a lot of what AI allows us to do is level up that communication. I've learned a lot from enhancing the way I've phrased certain things, or really what certain words means. I've been using words incorrectly. It turns out that's not really the best way to use that, because it doesn't read like you think it reads. Like, from a dealer's perspective, I know there's a fear there. All right, what is it going to say to my customers? What are your salespeople saying to your customers right now?
Yeah.
You know, at the time, and I'll be the bad guy. Hey, they're saying some really silly stuff, right? And they're not silly people. They just do silly things, right? There are no bad questions. There are bad people. Now, let's do it. But it's a way to audit the conversation that's going out and kill a few different birds with a few stones. I need to communicate more. I need to communicate better. And I need to have a consistency to that level of communication. So how can I scale that and enhance my human capital? Am I wrong in thinking that that's the general purpose?
Yeah, God.
I mean, you're right, and you're on the right path. And I think we've talked a lot about how it can, be a tool in the tool belt of anybody, for especially generative AI, for creating conversations, conversational AI, producing and going through and editing templates and emails and stuff like that. But it's also good for all of those other reasons that we talked about, those bedrock technologies we have inside of, AlertMiner today, the AI manager. That's natural language processing. It lifts up customers who say, hey, I no longer own, and you can go and take care of that right now. So that kind of tool is not conversational. It's not that kind of.
It's having a different type.
It's different type. And then another case is like prioritizing, and sometimes manager, or you usually have a manager, maybe it's the BDC manager, but you have somebody who's like, I want to have a general glance at all the communications my salespeople are sending in and out, texts and emails. I at least want to be able to kind of scan, see what's happening. Well, that's a very, very time consuming, and it usually results in them saving at least 1 or 2 deals. Like the managers who tell me that they do that, they say, I get a deal or 2 just from helping, picking up these low hanging rocks that a salesperson may have either missed or maybe not have saw this opportunity.
And they said yes here. They say
yes. I said yes. And that's an area where AI is going to be able to help us get even better at it, because we're going to be able to take all your texts and emails and actually put them in. Hey, here's all the text about leases. Here's all the things about a trade-in. Here's customers who have said some form of a yes, and really help you kind of prioritize that daily task of reviewing messages, and then even be able to actually escalate ones that are clearly, hey, a manager needs to review this correspondence because of these things that AI recognized.
Just Utah. I get so excited.
Yes.
I get so excited about it because
it is exciting.
I don't know. It's it's contagious when you talk about what we have. I was like, hey, well, we've got this no longer owns today, and then we've got all this data that's backing it up, and these ideas and the things that we're working on bubbling all of those up and making those priorities for the end user. We were just talking about how can we make the end user's job more efficient, or how can we make them more successful. And that's the key right there, bubbling up those priorities and raising those tasks. And AI is a huge part of how we're doing that today.
Yeah.
It's a new level of strategy, right? Because even while you were having that conversation, I do this not as regular as I used to, but I will just call Cody Bennett. And maybe one day everybody will be introduced to Cody, but I just kind of call him to see what's going on. What you guys got sitting on the shelf? What do you think about this? Because I've had a lot of questions about our blocks, and the I&E block has always been a big topic of conversation, especially when the data came out. Like, hey, our Red A, fantastic, premium. These are 300 and 400% better as far as a closing percentage.
Sure.
Based off of the likelihood of a customer transacting it. They're that much better than our cream of the crop.
Yeah, different ballgame.
So I had to call Cody like, I don't know why. Why is this happening and what does this mean? And then, I'll get into, well, what else you got? NLP came up years ago and I was talking to him and he was like, I mean, we're
doing it.
And then I hit him with, I do this to you. I was like, what if? And through those types of conversations, we get this creativity. Like, oh, well, because I remember asking him, hey, could it just read everything that's in there? Could it just read everything that's in the system? All the notes, all the things that customers put, all the stuff that the users put. Can it read? He's like, well, I mean, yeah, technically it's like just processing it in language.
Right.
And then, now we're here.
Yeah.
And you talked about bubbling up the priority. AI and putting strategy to it is like, okay, now we've bubbled up the priority. Based off of that priority, what does that now inform? Okay, these things came from that. It ties to this, it's talking to this other part of the tool because that came to the surface. And we have the go-between, which is workflow, just sending these messages all over the place, consuming all of these. I think we're getting a little deeper. We're consuming all these different places.
And Angela's going to be able to speak on probably the actual in the CXM and AlertMiner Pro. How do you actually take action? But AI is already doing a lot of the heavy lifting for you. Check out, you can click on the lead score and you can see, okay, what is populating this score? And it gives you a series of, hey, this is how we got to that point. Mm-hmm. That's all machine learning. That's all AI driven. And, like the iBlock is just like that. We're doing the heavy lifting for you. But, I'll let Angela take it for where an employee can jump in and take action.
Well, yeah, the AI can only take it so far, right? At some point, even with the advancements in generative, there is still a point that a customer is going to ask a question that is a transition to, I need a real human now. Now, there are definitely good examples, and we do know that customers do like self-help. Mm-hmm. And anytime the AI can facilitate the conversation enough to get the customer, for example, to schedule their own appointment or schedule their own service appointment or sales appointment, that's a big win. And so you can get those kinds of wins with literally no human interaction. And that is just saving you time to focus elsewhere. But in other areas, there's an escalation point, right? And so that's where the workflows come in. And that escalation can be a couple of different things. It could be escalation simply to a salesperson. It could be manager involvement. It could be to kick off a process that maybe kicks off another set of marketing. And that's going to be our deeper integration with Engagement Studio. There could be types of escalations that say, okay, this customer is not in the market now, but we think they're going to be. And that way we start triggering more customized, geared marketing emails to them.
Yeah. It's real life cycle.
Stuff. That's so many things.
Yeah, I know. Isn't it fun to just sitting down and talking about it? It's like there's a million things we could do. And we're already doing a lot of that. Engagement Studios are already driven by a lot of, AI, picking out audience, et cetera. But this is really going to take it to the next level. And we're like, it's happening now.
We're driving.
I don't want to say
now.
it's going to happen. Because it's happening now, and we just have plans on plans for expanding it further. Especially with all the feedback we got. Like I said, we just talked with everybody here, having everybody in the office. It's so great to brainstorm and get that feedback. So
and hearing what's exciting dealers and what dealers are looking for and help them sell more cars based on the market. And so you get a bunch of people together in the room, and
Magic can. Yeah, it's like AI. Magic.
Yeah, magic. So what is AI, or how does AI inform attribution? And I'm going to say everything's being tied together. And so I'm thinking, I'm going to give you a scenario that could happen in AutoAlert. This is a customer who submitted a lead. They did buy from this store before. They don't do service, but they did buy their car from this store. So we already know a little bit about this customer. They made a transaction, but, and this is going to be a perfect world scenario, right? We want to treat this customer different because it's a current customer that submitted a lead. So we already know them. So we should probably communicate that you're not just some random customer I've never done business with. I'm happy you're coming back. So that level of conversation should go out somehow.
Sure.
Maybe it's automated.
Yeah, some of it's business logic.
Yeah, some of us been, hey, I already know this is a live one that we already had. Here's their current activity on there,
Mm-hmm.
Reading all that information. This happens to the customer. Maybe an AI conversation starts just to get the lead going a little bit further.
Sure.
The BDC reached out for 3 days, didn't get them on the phone. That doesn't mean they went away. Just, hey, I've been calling you for 3 days. I left you an email. I tried to text you. Seems like you don't like that. But now we know. And we push it to the conversational AI. Push it to an AI assistant to, hey, follow this lead to get it to the point where they're responsive and ready for a conversation. But based on those conversations starting, we see a spike in website traffic from that same customer.
Oh.
Right? So that spike would appear that it's directly correlated to the conversation that I was having with that customer. Or maybe that conversation that started happening, it was like, oh yeah, I'm so sorry. I didn't get your emails. I didn't know who was calling, but now I know that it was you. Call me on Tuesday. Use my cell. Like, now we have a direct reason to call this customer.
Yeah.
Salesperson gets tasked, call Charles because he is still interested. He did submit that lead. But after the conversation with me, maybe I don't say yes yet, but I have more to consider. And then I go online and I go crazy. Salesperson comes in the next day and sees like, oh, all right. So he got back on the website. So this isn't awful. He said he didn't say yes yesterday, but he didn't say no, according to this website.
Yeah.
Maybe I need to investigate. Okay, what are you still researching? Where's the hang up? Are you changing your level of vehicle? You're not changing your level of interest. So how do I get back in now? So when it dovetails back into attribution, let's say somewhere online this purchase is made, at what points will AI be able to pinpoint, not direct, because we can't prove very direct attribution unless the customer says, no, I got this, and they verbally check.
Sure.
How soon or how accurate will it be for AI to pinpoint that level of attribution? Like, hey, this spiked this based on the time of attention, and then that led to this. Or is it even important to attribute that at all?
Yeah, I mean, so there's like the classic sales attribution models, which, there's a handful of different marketing models, last touch, 90 days after, stuff like that. That's all just kind of business logic.
Yeah.
We have direct influence reporting now, which is really cool. And that takes that's kind of the multi-factor sales attribution. But I think the dealer that we talked to, who was here on site for this all hands, gave some insight. And I don't necessarily want to repeat exactly what he said, but he said like the attribution for the sales that he does, it's never going to be 100% right? He's going to know exactly how many he sold that month before we are.
Right.
And the attribution from our platform to those sales is, it can be anywhere from 50% off to 75% off, and he's still profiting, which was the cool thing to hear.
I think what AI could help with in that little scenario you painted there, things that would be a good case. One, everything that you just described, we do today.
Right.
Everything just described there. Examples of how we're going to make that even better with additional AI systems and tools would be things like in the step where you said that, hey, they scan all the customer's activities. Well, on the task, we'll have a couple of statements that save you that work, that highlight the core important things you do need to know about that current customer to make that conversation very customized to that customer's experience. In the outreaches that the AI will make supplementary to a real person will also be injected with that customer's personal experiences that AI has gleaned from reading all the activities for you. And then for attribution, I think AI would help with predicting how many sales we think we're going to sell based on your dealership's history or dealerships like yours history.
Yeah, we use predictive analytics already to do forecasting. Yeah. And that's AI, right? To say that someone's going to buy in a certain amount of time, customer buying cycle. We look at predictive analytics to say, we expect this consumer is going to buy within the next 30 days. So you need to do something about it. So it's less after the fact, but AI is definitely powering
The future.
the future. And in your case, which was a perfect use case for like an AI assistant, one of our AI assistants is doesn't want to talk to a human anymore, or drops or forgets, or who knows, gets busy, has a kid or whatever, and
Some of the
stops
lost
talking.
lead conversation. Like,
Yes.
Hey, they go down for 2 weeks and we don't know what
Service defect. Yeah. I mean, there's like the disappearing customer is solved with the AI assistants, in my opinion. So that was a perfect use case.
Yeah, and I think it's important, even like the lookalikes. Like, hey, so maybe it doesn't really matter. Like, did we sell a car? And in the end, did the end goal happen? Did we sell a car? Do we still have that customer in the database? I think that's paramount. But how many other customers are like this customer? And what can I base the trajectory on? Like, okay, showing the same signs. Or there was a spike in website activity after this conversation, be it the AI assistant, a phone call, a text. Something happens when there is this level of communication. How many more customers are like this, are presenting like this, or how can we recreate that? Maybe it's more training scenarios and more coaching scenarios that managers can just see. Like, hey, whenever they get to this point and there's a conversation, there's a spike in website activity, and then 14 days later they buy the car.
Yeah. So the AI component of that is what instructs us to take action.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
So like the AI part is sitting on the back end. It's doing the recommendation engine based on the customer's activities, and machine learning based on the huge, pools of data that we have. The next step that is the kind of the fun stuff to talk about is what happens next, and how does AI inform whatever action is going to happen. And typically that's where it gets lobbed over the fence to Angela.
This is where smart workflow,
Yes.
which is right.
Sneak previews.
Yeah.
Landed.
And that's exactly what it's doing. It's literally saying, okay, based on this, we think you need to do this.
Mm-hmm.
And we think you need to do it this way.
Yeah.
And we will surface those customers up and tell you the best next step to take to try and close that customer, whether it be a sales close or a service close.
Yeah. See, and then that's the world that's exciting.
Mm-hmm.
And, there are drawbacks, and what are they going to say? AI is so much more than just saying something to your customer.
Mm-hmm.
It's the action that it allows, like it's eliciting action from your team. I think that's the more powerful and impactful side of what it's going to do to automotive. We had conversations all week long, and we always joke about the car buying experience, and the unanimous outcry from the consumer is not only does it need to be better, it needs to be more efficient. And some of those efficiencies come in personalization, setting an expectation, and having the right level of human interaction.
Mm-hmm.
But speed is essentially what everyone's looking for while getting what you want, because dealers have no problem getting people what they want. Everything in between that it makes or breaks the experience. And I think these types of introductions of AI is what's going to affect.
Sure.
It's not just, it sent a weird email, or my team doesn't do anything anymore because they're just sending it to the AI and letting them. It's not just that. It's what happened. It's that what action takes place after that customer becomes hot.
Right.
Are you responsive then? Because the system's going to tell you to do something. And I'm going to just throw a term out there that is not public, but activity action pairs. Make that a little household name. But I think that's the easiest way to explain what the workflow can do and how to explain like why it's important. Like, the customer did something, there needs to be a subsequent action.
There needs to be.
Maybe.
I mean, if you're just throwing something over the fence to AI and walking away, you are losing money.
Yeah.
The number of lost opportunities from customers who come in and raise their hand and say, I need somebody to call me, and those go ignored. And that's where the escalation patterns are so important. Like, do not stop escalating that. And we can do that today in our workflow. Don't just make one hot lead task, or don't just make one notification. Keep that notification coming until somebody does something about it, and have it going to different people. I mean, if the salesperson gets notified and ignores it,
How long do you want to wait?
Customer's still waiting for an answer.
Exactly.
And it needs to go to somebody else.
I think that's, ask the dealer.
Yeah.
Hey, how long do you want to wait after a customer says, call me? How long do you wait until to send that to somebody else when it doesn't happen?
They have that choice, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's like an if-then engine on steroids, and then you pump it up with some AI. I think our experience we talked about this at the beginning, right? We've been toying around with, at least 2016 when we started introducing ML against machine learning against major data pools. We have the experience to isolate and identify what Angela was talking about. We know where dealers are missing sales now. Some platforms are just getting into the game. We have the history, we have the data, we know what they're missing, and we're coming up with solutions as a product team to solve that. And so, smart workflow, activity action pairs, workflows are all solutions to that problem. We're seeing we need to do more. We're hearing that. So we're taking action to make it even easier. Like we're elevate. And I'm not saying people are lazy or anything like that, but I think there is an opportunity in the space that we're in automotive software, to make things easier and more condensed. And by doing that, like I said, we've got the data. It's going to produce more sales.
Yeah.
We know it. So
It needs to be more in your face,
Yes.
right?
Like, we will mention Smart Workflow, which is a gem that I cannot wait to fully talk about. But it also made me think of the productivity of a user. Just an everyday user, day in the life of, you're doing all the right things. You're making your follow-ups. You're trying to get people on the phone. What if there was a world where AI was like, hey, you should probably hand it over to me. I'll take it for now. I've seen your attempt. This is probably about the time you need to kick it over to me. Let me do my thing. And I want you to focus more on these things. These are priority. And because you're spending time here, you're losing time here. Because we are seeing all that activity and we're able to analyze that. Is there a world where that becomes a part of the mechanism to shore up just the dealership employees' time?
yeah, we're looking. I mean, what we're talking about is I can't wait to have a discussion in like 4 months from now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I can't wait to revisit this. And maybe not even 4 months. I mean, we are constantly making
Don't let Tom do
enhancements.
that part.
Yeah, no time commitments
In the future.
In the future, I'm excited to talk again and revisit that question of like, how can we make things more efficient? Because we are already making things super easy and super efficient. But with AI, there's opportunities there.
And I mean, today, the workflow at any point in that task list, you can say, "Hurry, here's the time I'm going to kick it to AI." You can do that today. In our workflows. And for some dealers, it might be that they want both working side by side. Let's see who's more successful. We know that customers might sometimes not answer a text from one phone number, but if you text them from another phone number for whatever reason, they decide to answer that. So some dealers may take that approach and say, hey, you know what? First 7 days, I want everybody touching the customer. Some other dealerships might say, you know what? I want my humans to interact for the first couple of days. Then we'll have the AI take over. And then I still want some touch points from a human in between that time. And then some dealers might say, actually, 3 days human and then 100% AI because we're moving on to the next set of fresh leads that come in.
Right. Yeah, I just see these nice little reminders like, hey, you need help? What? I recommend so and so and so forth. You can send it to me and I'll take care of it. Or you can continue. If you want to keep doing it, you should try this.
Like the Microsoft Clippy.
It's like Clippy. It's like, hey, do what you want, but I got some information over here.
I can only imagine the Microsoft people when they probably came out with Clippy. This is probably what they wanted it to be way back then.
No.
They say you can contact a customer in 5 days. Would you like to reach out to them?
I turned mine into Einstein, so.
I know Einstein.
Yeah. But I think it's a big world, and I understand the pause. But at this point, it's time. It's time for people to get into it, and just learn. Ask questions, do your research. And I think what you guys mentioned earlier about asking your vendors, just because they don't talk about it broadly doesn't mean it's not happening. This is a business game changer. So there's a chance that other vendors are still using this for something. Ask what type of AI they're using.
Sure.
especially from the marketing.
Yeah, go find the resources. Like I said, I challenge anybody to go check out the website and just see what our data science team does, because not everybody's going to know the hyper technical stuff. But if you're not getting ahead of it or learning about it now, you're already behind.
Yeah.
So the way, and with our experience and the way we're implementing it, we're doing it in a super safe way. So there's people that have their fears, and that is totally normal, and that makes sense. So if you learn, you can alleviate some of those fears, and then you can also understand we have experience. We've been doing this for a very long time, and the way we're implementing it isn't just a copy paste ChatGPT into our platform. It's very orchestrated and purposeful.
So if you guys had to give kind of a step-by-step how to get started with AI, or how to familiarize myself with AI, what would you give dealers? Hey, here's how I start in my AI.
In our platform, or just in general?
Just in general. Just say, hey, AI is everywhere. So here's how to get started.
Go to ChatGPT and say, what is AI?
Or even just on your LinkedIn page, utilize their recommendations for your posts. See what it pops up with. That was kind of my first interactions with it. And we're kind of starting to dabble with, this can help me. Maybe I shouldn't shoot this down altogether.
Yeah. Low stakes playing around is where you're going to you're just going to have fun. You're going to find out that it's something that's very cool, but can also be a tool.
Yeah.
Brainstorming sessions, shoot an idea and ask it for ideas.
Mm-hmm.
You'll be surprised at what it might shoot back at you. And you're like, oh, okay, well, now that's going to send me down this rabbit hole.
Oh, I'd say a good one would be talk to your employees about how they're using it, because more likely than not, if you have a fear or you're kind of not into that space, I'd bet your employees are using it to some extent.
Yeah.
So it may be fun to hear from them, and that could be a trusted source that you'd feel comfortable talking to.
Okay, I'll end on this. What's your favorite hack that you've figured out because of other tools, AI? I'll start.
Sure.
It's a couple of different places. I'm gonna figure this out. I know it's AI. It's more of some sort of algorithm, but I do this on Facebook Marketplace all the time. I'm searching for something because I go there first now. What I'll do is I'll search the thing just for a good amount of time. I'll just open, shut, open, close, open, close, open, close. Things that I like, and then I'll put it down. And I'll come back maybe tomorrow, maybe the next day. Then I open up my feed again. I populate everything. It does all the research for me.
That's awesome.
Based on the stuff that I already know that I like. So that's one place I do it. My other place is Amazon. Amazon's very, very good at curation. And I like to play with the suggestions or you might like, or customers who have bought this also bought.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to see, let's see how good you are. Do I like this? Dang, I like this. This is pretty good. And then obviously the more obvious one is streaming music, right? I could get it wrong, but when they get it right, they really get it right.
Spotify?
Man, I got Spotify,
Everything?
Tidal. I'm on YouTube.
Nice.
And there's a lot of different areas, but I like Spotify's algorithm best.
It is
Spotify does have a good one. Yeah.
Probably like how different companies implement AI into their product.
They think I'm a different person. I mean, the music's completely different on all my apps.
Yeah.
Which is why I have to listen to all of them.
Yeah. So take my money. Continue. But it's just, and anytime if you want something new or creative or something based on a mood, or they have figured out that is very much a need or an expectation to be able to say, based on this, I want to listen to something else. So I'm having this kind of mood. So they started putting hey, here's a playlist I made for you. The day they just started making playlists.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Wait a minute. This is just for me?
It's that personalized customer experience.
Yes. And I didn't ask you, but you knew this what I wanted because I started searching here and then I shift gears and search something else. And then based on those searches, you created something for me. And then they do like a daily thing. Like, here's your mix for today. Here's your mix for Wednesday. Here's your mix for Tuesday. Here's your Friday mix. And based on how you've been listening, I know you want to listen to this on Fridays. It's just like, man, what do I want to eat?
Yeah.
Who's gonna do that one, right? Who's gonna do this is what you want to eat? Yeah.
What's the it's slipping my mind. The P word, Pandora.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Pandora.
Pandora.
Yep, the music
The
app.
OG one. You
Yeah,
trying
it's still there. It's still there. But I used to I got way too into trying to figure out how it used your likes, unlikes, and I would have different playlists that I strategically liked and disliked, so that the playlist would be curated.
Skip. I don't like that one. I don't ever want to hear nothing like this again.
You're the perfect tool trying to reverse engineer Pandora's algorithm for liking and disliking.
Okay, so if I accidentally disliked a song that I really liked, I'll have to be like, I'm never gonna get it back now.
Yes.
I don't remember
I
what
didn't know how to do
it was.
it. I liked that one.
All right, so your turn.
Yeah, it's a good hack. Man, I use it for so much now, just for fun. Really, we talked about this. For me, it's like a thought starter. So brainstorming to just kind of get me started, because I'm very confident in what I do and what I execute on and what I produce. But just having something to start will save me. It could save me 3 hours.
Blank
honestly,
screen, staring at the blank
get
screen.
kicked off. And the image generators are a lot of fun to play with too. Yes.
Yeah, well, Jacob, you actually introduced me to the prompt engineering.
Sure.
That was months ago, and that term kind of first started to have meaning, and that has helped me a lot. Use it and get better results. But more on the tweaking the algorithms, just a fun one, which you kind of reminded me of. What I'll do when I forget something, maybe I saw an ad on Facebook and I'm a product I wanted and I forgot what it was. I will, on my phone, open up Google whatever genre it was. Maybe it was a fitness app, and I'll just Google fitness app. I can't remember which one it was. They'll just Google it, and then you go back on Facebook and you'll get the ad. You'll get the ad that you were served before, and then it thinks you're returning, and so you'll get it again. I'm like, oh yes, that's what I wanted.
We do this. We'll just go talk around somebody's phone about.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
So we can talk about kitty litter, kitty litter, kitty litter, kitty litter. What do you do for your cats? What kind of kitty litter do you use? And then on their Instagram,
I don't even have a cat. I don't have a cat.
I had a bunch of friends that were pregnant at the same time, and next thing you know, my phone started. No, wrong person.
you know what your husband said? What, you weren't gonna tell me? Or? But I think that's a fun one to end on. But thank you for having this time with me. I am so excited about what's coming up next and what we're already able to do with our platforms. And I want to have you guys back. These tech talks are important. And I think it's cool to get a look behind the curtain and everybody's, twisting the cranks and getting everything going. So thank you for your time. And
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
This is awesome.